Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? Chris here from Fake Sports News, bringing you guys a brand new video. I'm doing some solo content for the first time in a while. I know it's been a while since you guys have seen my face. Just a quick aside, like as per usual with this channel, I got sick again, my chronic health condition. Of course, it wouldn't be a typical year without me getting sick for a while and having no content come out because of my health. So I'm doing a lot better, back on my feet. Thanks to my family taking care of me, nursing me back to health. Love and family will get you through your roughest moments. But anyways, I did want to do something a little bit new for you guys. I've never really done event recaps, honestly. So I want to start doing that. And I want to start with Major One. Of course, Major One, hosted by the Boston Breach in beautiful Boston, Massachusetts, was a great event for all of us. It was a great kickoff to the season. It's been a little bit frustrating with everything going on with the league. More on that in a little bit. But this event was a much needed pick me up for the community. It was crazy. Lots of uh, storylines came about that we weren't expecting. Just really interesting across the board. So looking at our kickoff game, we had Faze taking on Guerillas, and we'll look at the match details, but there's not really a lot to take away from it. Guerillas turned up on the weekend, but this was not emblematic of how they looked throughout the rest of Major One. 250, 136, 6-4, and 3-0. Not really a showing that the Guerillas we're too happy with, but given how they played the rest of the weekend, all things considered, it's okay. The next matchup, we had the Minnesota Rokkr taking on the New York Subliners, our defending CDL 2023 world champions, with our current reigning CDL MVP, that being, of course, Paco Hydra. And they 3-0'd the New York Subliners. Sene Soka, they 3-0 the top four team, even though Minnesota coming into this was the 6th seed and New York was the 3 seed. So let's look at how it happened. So it was a 12-point hard point, very close hard point. The Karachi S&D was not close. Minnesota absolutely waxed them. And then the control was also extremely, extremely, extremely close. This one came down to a nail biter, 3-2, really good. If I was still doing highlights, I would post a clip, but I just don't have any clips right now. Seattle Surge took on the Toronto Ultra, and as we all expected, Ultra handled business. I thought it would be 3-0 Faze, 3-0 Subliners, and 3-0 Ultra. Only 3-0 Subliners, I'm sorry, 3-0 Ultra and Faze came to fruition. Subliners, they did not get the 3-0. So it's 250 to 106 against Surge, 6-2 on Skid Row, S&D, and 3-0 on Karachi Control. Ultra, they looked great this weekend, and they really didn't have a single hiccup at the whole tournament. So in the next matchup, last matchup of Friday, Optic Texas played the Miami Heretics. They're boogeyman, and they actually got the dub this time on land, which is great for that Optic Texas squad. Really encouraging for them. Different year. That storyline has now been put to bed. They finally got a win over the Miami/Florida roster that always plagued them over the years. So looking at our breakdown, it was 250 to 211 in hardpoint, very close Skid Row hardpoint. Some of Miami's better maps, also one of Optic's better maps, clearly, and 6-3 on Invasion, which was kind of surprising. Optic has had hit or miss success on Invasion, especially against teams like Faze. So it was good to see them beat a good team like Heretics, who is actually in the top 4 right now. And then on Karachi Control, they got a hot 3-0, which is great for Optic because their control has not been really that solid in the last few years. Even in Vanguard, their control wasn't solid. And of course, last year it was not that good. So they've never really been a strong control team. Not sure why, but now they're looking a lot better. Of course, on Friday, we kicked things off with an insane upset. Those were Thursday's matches, so completely disregard the fact that I was saying Friday this whole time. I'm pretty tired today. I've been really busy just with personal stuff. So 250 to 238 is how we started. New York Subliners actually had some hope in map 1. Then map 2, Carolina blew them out to the surprise of everyone since New York has been such a great S&D team, one of the best in the game. Karachi Control went the way of New York, which is what we all expected. We really expected them to 3-0. And then Terminal Hardpoint actually went 250 to 128 in favor of the Carolina Royal Ravens. And what are my takeaways from this? My takeaways are, if you're the New York Subliners, you don't hit the panic button just yet. You are the defending CDL world champions, and you took a gamble, right? You went out and you picked up another player when you could have retained Priesta, given him the money that he asked for, and just kept that core 4 together, right? So you took a chance. Your first swing at it you got to strike, but you still have two more goes at it before you strike out, right? Realistically, you're not hitting the panic button until around stage 3. So the 3 strikes thing really does apply. It wasn't just a random thing thrown out there. Yeah. So in our next matchup, we had the Battle of LA. And as you guys know, I was expecting the Guerillas to topple this one 3-2, actually, not 3-1. But I expected Guerillas to take it because I felt like they are the better team, and they really have shown great promise against the top teams online. They're also a menace in scrims, apparently. So that's why I had a lot of faith in Guerillas handling business, and handle business they did, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I had to get a sip of water. 250 to 233 is how we started with the Karachi hardpoint. Went the way of the Guerillas. We had a thrilling invasion S&D. It was a massive choke on the part of the Thieves from what I can recall, but Adam Assault iced up, and that's the story there. Our map 3 Karachi control was a 3-0 in favor of the Thieves. The Thieves looked great in this control, which was surprising. They haven't really been that strong of a control team. And then, of course, the Guerillas were able to close it out on one of their bread and butter hardpoints, Skid Row hardpoint. This is a map that they've really played some of the top teams really tight on. So seeing Karachi and Skid Row, I, as someone who was backing the Guerillas in this series, felt really good about myself, if I'm being honest with you. Those are two of their better hardpoint maps, and they've always played the top teams very close on those maps if they didn't win those maps. So in our next matchup on Friday, we had another surprising one. We saw another one of our top 4 teams. We actually saw 3 and then 4 get eliminated in order. And these were the first 2 teams. Well, these are 2 of the first 3 teams to get sent home, along with the LA Thieves, who a lot of people believe is the worst team in our league currently. I am not really motivated to disagree with that based on their performance. So we'll leave it there. And looking at the Legion series against the Heretics, they absolutely smoked them in map 1, 250 to 167. Given how good this Heretics team is, you would expect this to be within 30 to 50 points if the Legion, a good team in their own right, were going to take this off of them. So seeing this, I guess, like, what is that, 83-point differential? A little bit surprising, if I'm being honest. Of course, the Legion took map 2, Karachi S&D, and that's one that they've looked pretty good on, decidedly against some of the better teams. So that's not really all that surprising to see. But the control did surprise me. Miami has been a lock in control all season long. They've been our best control team this whole season so far. So seeing them lose 3-2 on Invasion was a little bit surprising. Usually they dominate on Invasion, and they usually have like a 1-round or 2-round cushion. So that was kind of surprising. But the Legion just wanted it more, and the Heretics looked out of sorts on land. So they'll get back to the drawing board. They'll figure it out. I mean, you don't get into the top 4 on accident. You don't win 5 matches in qualifiers on accident. So they're a good team, but sometimes the lesser teams in terms of the standing can really play above their expectations. Speaking of lesser teams in the standing playing above expectations, that is not what happened for the Boston Breach. Sadly, the hosts of our Boston Major, they were sent home on Friday. So that sucks. Yeah, so looking at it, they came out hot on the sub-base hardpoint, which is a map that we all know the Seattle Surge have been very comfortable on, thanks to Hoop the Nuke and Illy going crazy on that map consistently. But Boston and Slasher, especially, Slasher had a crazy KD. He had like a 1.5 in this series, but it wasn't enough. So 250, 196, takeover game from Snoopy and Slasher, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. Map 2 Invasion S&D went the way of the Surge. Illy was going absolutely nuts in this map. I do remember that. Karachi control went the way of the Breach. They 3-0'd them. No pulse on the Seattle Surge in this control, which is kind of surprising. They've actually looked a lot better in control this season, but maybe I'm faded. And then map 4 went the way of Seattle, which was great. They got momentum back, and they won Karachi hardpoint 250 to 226. Karachi is a map that I've seen the Breach really struggle with in hardpoint in terms of closing it out. A lot of times I see them get leads or really have good control over the spawns, and they just make these small mistakes that cost them the game. So I think Karachi is one that they will improve upon if this team sticks. I'm not too sure about them sticking, just because Cap and Snoopy have been really inconsistent, so is Priesta. In the game 5, it was a 6-1 on high-rise S&D, so we're not going to really dissect that too much. That's a pretty dominating scoreline. So in our last matchup of Friday, we of course had the LA Guerillas taking on the Vegas Legion. And I actually had Optic Texas falling to this point in the bracket. So this was not on my bingo card, or who was supposed to fall on that side of the bracket? So I had Optic falling down and beating Vegas, yeah. And then I had them losing, or I'm sorry, and then I had them beating Guerillas. So this was a surprise to see Vegas going up against Guerillas because I figured whoever won between Miami and Optic, I'm sorry, whoever lost between Miami and Optic would take care of Legion and then move on to face Guerillas. So this one took me by surprise, seeing these two match up. Game 5 for the Guerillas was going to be my pick if I saw this coming. So when I saw this live, I thought Guerillas would win the series. But the maps I thought favored Vegas. Obviously the first two definitely favor them, and that's why they won those two. But Karachi's a hard point that they've done pretty well on, and Terminal is a map that they have a really good chance on. So this entire scoreline is really interesting. 250 227 on Skid Row Hardpoint made a lot of sense. Map that you definitely favor the Vegas Legion on, but Guerillas are a great Skid Row team as well, so it could have gone either way. Invasion, another map, square up. Both teams are good at it. Vegas is just a little bit better. They took it 6-4. High rise control. Guerillas are a great control team. Vegas, worst control team in the league, admittedly. So this was not too surprising. 250 to 227 on Karachi. Like I said, Vegas, much like Boston, when they do well in Karachi, seems like a closeout issue. And then Terminal S&D, Guerillas just wiped the floor with them to punch their ticket to a rare Saturday appearance. So looking at our Saturday matches, we of course kick things off with everybody's favorite darling Clayster taking on the Seattle Surge with RCs and the boys. And of course, the battle of the EU GOATs went the way of RCs this time. It was a 3-2 in his favor, but let's look at the maps. So 250, 159, dominant performance from the Carolina Royal Ravens on map 1, Karachi Hardpoint. What you expect from this Carolina team? They've been absolutely dominant in Hardpoint since they brought in Fellow. And who else did they bring in? So it's Fellow, and they brought in TJ as well as a substitute for Real with the visa issues. Real's not coming, apparently, because he couldn't get a visa approved. But yeah, so the Wolves for Carolina actually turned out to be not that bad given how they played this weekend. They looked really good. So going into stage 2, that definitely bodes well for them. And their hardpoint looks incredible. So looking at the S&D, of course, it went the way of Seattle Surge. Shout out Illy. Went 6-2 in their favor. The Invasion Control, Seattle, like I said before, has been a pretty poor control team, but they have been okay at certain points. So this was a little bit of a shock. They went 3-2 in the favor of the Ravens. I thought Seattle would win it just because they've been winning control against good teams at some points, and they definitely surprised us with some of their performances in that mode. The game 4 was a nail biter, so it was a 3-point differential. Seattle had a massive regain. I believe they were down it was 159 to 241. So whatever the math is on that. So over 70 points. And they came back to win 250 to 247. So that is quick maths. That's a 91 to 6 run. So that's crazy. And then they won 6-1 in the Terminal S&D. I guess after Carolina had that 91 to 6 choke, they just kind of lost full and couldn't regain. That's why they got sent home 3-2. So that's a rough one. And then looking at our next matchup, we of course had Optic taking on Atlanta Faze. You guys know I thought the Optic in this head-to-head, I feel like Faze finally with Draza, they've got the right team comp to really do well in this matchup, if not dominate it. The thing that Faze was missing previously was just a true flex that could open up the map for Simp and Abizi to just run around and roam and do what they do best. Slasher is a main AR. Celium is more of a main AR. They cancel out. So I like this Faze team. I like their DNA a lot better. They have the potential to really improve and just not get shaken up in series where they're not doing well. So that's what I love about them. Their composure is unreal and it matches the gunny. So looking at the map 1, of course, Optic Texas, they are a great hardpoint team. One of the best in this game. So they came out really hot on sub base, one of Faze's weaker hardpoints, and they stomped them 250 to 188. Optic picked this map, so it was a good showing for them. Map 2 Invasion S&D, obviously Faze's pick. They won 6-4, pretty comfortable. Control on High Rise, of course, went the way of Faze pretty comfortably, 3-1. Hardpoint Invasion, this one was a banger. It went 250 to 239 in Optic's favor to force the game 5 on High Rise, which went 6-2 in Faze's favor to no one's surprise. So it was a great showing. This was Faze's second time playing Optic this season, and that's their second win against them. So they were officially 2-0 at this point. And then we had Rokkr taking on Ultra, which kind of made me sad. I was hoping New York made it through so we would get a really, really good matchup. I knew that if Rokkr made it through, they would get absolutely mollywopped, which they did. 250 to 224 on Skid Row Hardpoint. It was a very close game, decidedly, but Rokkr, they turned up late in the game, and that's where they accrued most of these points on the tail end. So it wasn't like they kept it close all the way. It was just like a full 60 that Ultra gave up because they were like, we have like 240 points and we don't care about this. The Karachi S&D, 6-3 in Ultra's favor, dominance. And Invasion Control was the only time where Rokkr, I would say, really looked like they had a chance in the series. And even then, it didn't really seem like much of a chance. So 3-0 Toronto Ultra, they looked like the best team in the game pretty clearly at a certain point. So then we had our next series in losers where we had Optic Texas taking on the Seattle Surge. And Optic, they came out really hot here and they got it done in 4, which we all kind of expected. So 250, 165 on Subbase, one of Optic's better maps and one of pretty much most teams' weaker maps. Terminal S&D went the way of the Seattle Surge. Shout out Illy once again, 6-4. And of course, the Invasion Control went 3-0 in favor of Optic, as we would all expect. Optic is just a better respawn team, you would have to think, than the Seattle Surge team. And then the hard point on Terminal went 250 to 137 in favor of the Green Wall. So another great showing for Optic. They handled business as we all would expect them to. Seattle is a lesser team in comparison and in the standings. So yeah, handle business, stood on business, as the kids say, and that's that. So in our next series, we of course had everyone's darlings of the weekend, the Los Angeles Guerillas. Shout out to Assault Hand Warmer. If you know, you know. That's the hand warmer motion. Yeah, it was a rough one. So the Guerillas absolutely 103 million% choked this. They were up 250. I'm sorry, they won the Karachi Hardpoint 250 to 215. Then the Minnesota Rokkr responded in game 2, winning 6-4 on Invasion S&D. The Guerillas rebounded and regained momentum with a 3-2 on Invasion Control. And Rokkr ran away with the Skid Row Hardpoint 250 to 135. And the Guerillas actually choked the Terminal S&D from what I can remember. They were doing pretty well, and then they just let Minnesota get in the driver's seat. Minnesota never looked back, and that was the 3-2. So Optic Texas took on the Minnesota Rokkr to start Championship Sunday, and as we all expected, the Green Wall stood tall, and they did not fall to the Minnesota Rokkr. SAE, it ain't so. Getting revenge for the SAE game last year. They actually didn't really play Rokkr that much that I can recall last year. So we'll call this the SAE revenge game. Optic, of course, came out really hot in the Invasion Hardpoint. They won 250 to 149. Absolutely thunderclapped the Minnesota Rokkr in the map 2 S&D on Karachi. And then the Rokkr actually took the game 3 on Invasion. Like I said, Optic, they're not really the best control team, but they've definitely made improvements this season. And then the Skid Row Hardpoint, one of Optic's better maps, they, of course, took it 250 to 176 to send the Rokkr home in 4th place. Great showing from the Rokkr. They really turned up. None of us were expecting them to make it this far. They made the run that a lot of us were expecting New York to make. So great showing for the Rokkr, a team that people were expecting to make a roster change after this event. They can really have their chest stuck out and say, what? Who's making a roster change? You make a roster change. Guerillas. Who else did they beat? Subliners. Maybe not Subliners. I'm getting ahead of myself. Then they lost to Ultra. Yeah, they didn't play that much. But anyways, people that they played, they can definitely have their chest stuck out. The people below them in the standings, they can be like, what's up? We had a 4th place finish. We got some CDL points. We were actually number 1 in the standings. Where are you? Where you at, bro? So yeah, enough trolling. Payne, Faze took on the Toronto Ultra. As you guys know, Faze is my home team, so this kind of sucked. 250 to 214 on Karachi Hardpoint. Ultra came out really hot. and continue their momentum in Hardpoint. Then, of course, they 6-1 Faze on their best S&D map, which is Invasion. Brings me back to the Boston Major last year, where Ultra actually ended Faze's S&D streak in winners finals with a brutal beatdown. It was 6-2, I believe, on the map with the soccer field in MW2. I forget what it was called. Map was garbage with, I hated that map. Anyways, 3-2 Invasion Control went in favor of Faze. Great control team. And then Subbase, Faze's worst hardpoint map. They, of course, lost 250, 128. So this matchup pretty clearly showed that Ultra was the best team in the game at that point in time. Oh, big magnifying glass. All right. And yeah, they took it to Faze and they just dominated them in this series. So not a lot to say there. Of course, that means in losers finals, we had Atlanta Faze taking on Optic Texas, former boogeymen, but now Faze looks like they own these frauds. So 250 to 169 on terminal hardpoint going the way of Faze. Invasion S&D, their bread and butter S&D went their way 6-3. Previously 6-4 against Optic in the last series. Invasion Control went the way of Optic 3-1. And then Invasion Hardpoint went the way of Faze 250 to 212. Another one of Shotzi's weird Palace plays that didn't work out and ended up costing Optic in the end. So not sure what's going on with that, but yeah, tough scenes. Faze is now 3-0 against Optic. So I think it's safe to say that the whole mental thing is behind them. So looking at the grand finals, we of course had Toronto Ultra taking on Atlanta Faze, which is the grand finals that I had. Most people had penned. So yeah, to all of us that had the right grand finals predicted, good job. To all of us that had Faze winning the grand finals, bad job. Because look at this scoreline. Good God almighty. So 250 to 239 Karachi hardpoint, 11-point differential. Faze usually have a 100% win rate in games that are within 30 points. And this, of course, brought that down from 100 to something lower. Toronto looked great in this in the closing moments, and they just pulled it out when it really mattered. Pause. They pulled out the victory when it really mattered. Skid Row S&D, another embarrassing one for Faze. It went 6-2 in the favor of the Ultra. Insight went Ultra Instinct. No pun intended, because they're the Toronto Ultra Insight, Ultra Instinct, Ultra Insight. Maybe that should be a thing. Ultra Insight. Ultra Instinct Insight is Ultra Insight on Toronto Ultra. That kind of rolls off the tongue. All right. Anyways, Faze got their get back on Invasion Control. It had all of us Faze fans feeling like we had a chance. And then we go to Skid Row Hardpoint, and it's 250 to 237. Another heartbreaker, 13-point differential. Faze didn't even lose by 30 points total. They lost by 24 points between these two hardpoints. Absolutely heartbreaking, especially after all the grand finals losses that us Faze fans have seen over the years. This is not the energy that we needed going into the season. And then on Karachi Hardpoint, Ultra sent him packing with a 6-2. So rough showing for the Faze boys, great showing for the Toronto Ultra. If you're an Ultra fan, this is very encouraging. Given all the second places that you guys have had over the years, as many as we've had on the Faze side, you guys on the Ultra side have had just as many. So I'm happy to see Ultra get this win, even though it was at the hands of my team, because that org has just been absolutely low broed into oblivion. At Champs, they've been in 2 grand finals and they have 0 wins to show for it. Faze has been in 3, actually 4. They have 1 championship to show for it. Well, at least they won a championship. They weren't farmed for ranks by multiple teams. So Ultra winning Major 1, great showing for them. Really proved that they are the team to beat right now. They are currently the top dog in the CDL. We'll see if things change in stage 2, just because this was basically the pre-launch game, if you will. So we were playing on the patch that came from the first few weeks of the game being out. So the game has changed a lot. Supposedly, I don't own MW3. I don't really plan on buying it anytime soon, if I'm being honest. But I've heard the game is a lot different now and it plays a lot better. So hopefully that leads to more equality of conditions between the teams, because stage 1 was random as hell. All right. I'm mad. You can see my face change. I'm mad. All right. Stage 1 was random as hell. I almost said something I shouldn't. I almost said a word I shouldn't. I was not rocking with it. I think you can understand what word I was thinking instead of rocking. But yeah, not vibing with it. Um, Game felt very random. Felt like there were way too many upsets, and the stability of the game felt like it was not all there. So I'm happy to hear about that. But speaking of stability, that's actually an interesting segue. We are not in a good place as Call of Duty fans and CDL fans because the CDL has laid off the entire full-time observing staff. Yes, the Hot Hands Lounge is now gone, sadly. Um, so we're in the end of an era. The CDL looks like it's on death's door, sadly. Um, yeah. So every CDL employee who worked at Major One worked the major without knowing if they would have a job going into this week after not being told about layoffs in their team during last week's Activision Blizzard layoffs. So I guess Activision during this recent round of layoffs, Microsoft, I believe, got rid of 1,900 people in the esports side of things and the gaming side of things. Big layoffs, and then Activision Blizzard, I guess, internally had layoffs as well. Um, so nasty work. Unfortunately, a lot of people in the CDL lost their jobs. To all the friends I have out there who lost their jobs, I'm really sorry, and I hope you land on your feet. Um, yeah, we're just in the end game now, unfortunately, which leads me to the next tweet. So the senior esports manager at Activision Blizzard, a guy named Scott Parkin, he was let go and members of his team were let go. So some of the higher ups in Activision who were on the esports side are gone. We have a skeleton crew right now, and the official numbers are not looking good. So Activision Blizzard have let go of 60 out of 72 staff members in their esports division. For those of you who are not good at statistics, okay, that is 83% of their workforce that is laid off. 83%. 5/6 of their workforce was laid off. There's 12 employees left in the CDL, ladies and gentlemen, and I think that's where I should end things. I have a lot of thoughts on this. If you want to really understand my thoughts about what's going on in esports, I have a book coming out. I also have a Medium where I post articles about esports and the business of esports. Go check that out at Bear Witness on Medium. The whole idea is you're bearing witness to a technical breakdown of the world of esports through the lens of an esports OG like myself, someone who's been here since 2011. So, yeah, guys, the book will explain esports from beginning to end, everything that's happened with franchising, the good, the bad, the ugly, trash talk, anything you can think of that's happened in this space. I will be talking about it in the book. So be on the lookout for that. You can purchase it in a few months' time when it is all completed. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy this video. Hope you enjoyed this recap. Wanted to do something a little bit new. You guys have gotten used to me doing collabs with Dempsey. Shout out to Dempsey. He's working hard. It would have been a video between the two of us, but he's in school and yeah, he had to focus on what matters. You guys know I started this channel in college, so couldn't be more proud of him for focusing on his studies. Shout out to Dempsey. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to share it with a friend. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're brand new. We're currently shadow banned on the old tube, so maybe you can help your boy to get back to growth. I was up 500 subs and close to 500,000 views last year before Activision signed this contract with YouTube, and then pretty much guaranteed that they would have exclusive rights to CDL on YouTube, which effectively shut me down as a CDL highlight channel. So, yeah, not ideal, but it is what it is. We are currently in a really rough time in our space. So I understand people are doing what they need to do. And I'm a small fish in a big pond. So I can't be mad at what happens to me because this is not my main job. So I, it's okay, you know. But, anyways, apart from just trying to keep a stiff upper lip, keep a good attitude about things, um, I hope you guys enjoy our what looks to be last season in the CDL, maybe our last season of COD Esports, period. Just enjoy the ride, ladies and gentlemen. We're in the end of times, and yeah, this is rough. So stay strong out there, guys. Keep grinding if you're gaming out there. And hope you guys have a great morning, noon, or night wherever you may be on this beautiful planet. Like always, the human spirit will endure. We will traverse this and we will come out ahead even better than before. Esports in its current form was not working for anybody. It absolutely needed to die and be reborn as something better and more authentic to what we as esports lovers need and had. So yeah, I have faith for the future. I have a lot of plans to build things here. Because on the way, I'm trying to rehab this space in a realistic way. And yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see how things go. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share it with a friend if you haven't already. Try to get your boy out of shadow ban hell. It's really hot down here, and I don't like this. So Little Gallows here for you guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. Like I said, have a great morning, noon, or night, wherever you may be on this beautiful planet. Once again, this is Chris from Fake Sports News or Axis Rotation, whatever you want to say. And I hope you guys have a great morning, noon, or night, like I've said about 40 million times right now. And I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace.